time to rank It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Season 2. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the Movie Ranker, and today I'm ranking Season 2 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We got 10 episodes this time around. I would say the quality is a bit better than the first season. We get the introduction of Danny Devito and a lot of as Frank and a lot of other big characters that we love. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this episode ranking. So coming in the last place at number 10, I got The Gang Exploits a Miracle. This is the one where they find the water stain that Mac says it looks just like the Virgin Mary, and they ended up using that, getting all the churchgoers and that to donate money to them, and they're basically exploiting this miracle. And the funny thing about this episode is all the dialogue between Mac and Charlie and how they're going toe to toe in the Bible, one wearing black and one wearing white. Charlie saying, maybe I'm the Messiah. Stuff like that is hilarious. We also get a introduction to Cricket in here, Rickety Cricket. He is a priest and such a good person in here, and his descent into madness starts here when Dee convinces him to leave the church basically for nothing. But it's not a very deep episode, pretty surface level, so it's easily my least favorite of the season. Next, at number 9, I got Mac bangs Dennis's mom. This one is a very conniving episode. Everybody's backstabbing each other and trying to blackmail each other to try to get ahead and get out of Charlie work. It's pretty hilarious. It's funny how Mac bangs Dennis's mom, and she's just kind of trying to get back at Frank, But Mac, he sees her as his girlfriend, and it's so funny. And the rest of the episode, is Dennis pretending or about to get with the waitress, kind of blackmailing Charlie with that. They get a Charlie work, and it just causes this ripple effect. And it's just so hilarious. Everybody is just screwing each other over, and a lot of backdoor deals going on. And the way it ends with the waitress coming in, and she ends up sleeping with Frank in the end, and it just devastates Charlie. He's just standing there with a tear in his eye while she's going on saying how low she went and how depraving she becomes sleeping with him. It's a hilarious episode. Like I said, it's just very conniving. A lot of backstabbing going on. That's the funny part. At number 8, I got Charlie Gets Crippled. This is the first episode of season 2. This is where we get the introduction of Frank, Dennis and Dee's dad, for this season anyway. And he's not quite off the rails yet. That only really starts to happen around season 4 or 5. But he wants to live a different type of life. He's, always lived a rich, obnoxious life. He wants to be like Charlie and live in the slums in this apartment and go to strip clubs and all this stuff. And it annoys the hell out of Charlie in this episode because he keeps screwing him over and using him and that, especially at his apartment. He even locks him out of his own apartment and he has to sleep outside. Very funny stuff. Of course, Charlie's crippled this whole episode. He has a broken leg, or he gets hit by Dennis at the very start. And throughout the episode, the rest of the gang are pretending to be handicapped, trying to get attention that way. Mac and Dennis with their polio and in their wheelchairs, which, they can't help each other. They end up starting with a fight at the mall. And the best part, though, is Dee. The way she walks away when she's pretending to be all crippled, it's so bad. It's something you shouldn't be laughing at. But since it's fake and it's a TV series, it's all right too. And it's all right because they all get what they deserve in the end. They all actually end up crippled when they ended up getting into an accident at the very end. It is pretty hilarious. It's one of those episodes where you laugh and you're like, I probably shouldn't be laughing at this, but I am. At number 7, I got The Gang Gives Back. Another pretty hilarious episode where the gang has to pay for something they've done in the past. Doesn't happen very often, but they get put with community service, and Dee, Mac, and Dennis have to run a basketball team for kids. They have to coach them, while Charlie, since he was dumb and he said he was drunk at the time of the incident, he has to go to AA, go to detox, which it makes for a hilarious episode when he walks into detox trying to finish his beer. That guy rats him out. Such great stuff, especially with the waitress becoming his support person. And Charlie just ends up using that. He's like, screw it, I don't need to drink anymore. I just want to hang out with you all the time. And it kind of annoys the waitress to the point where she gives up on him to go back with Dennis, which fails for her as well. But the whole basketball stuff, that's where the episode really shines. When they're teaching these kids terrible things like putting steel toes on or pins or on your wrist to stab people. And man, it makes for a funny episode. A lot of stereotypes, with blacks being good at basketball. Like the whole scene where Max kind of beating the shit and using his elbows against D to prove who's a better coach. So much good stuff here. And it ends with Charlie coming in drunk as the ref and just going crazy with the whistle, blowing it nonstop and hitting the ball himself. It's so funny. And Frank has his Asian crew up in the rafters in the stands gambling on the kids' game. Very funny episode. At number 6, I got The Gang Runs for Office. Now, this episode is so good. I love how it starts, how they're talking about politics is just one big ass blast. It doesn't matter whose side you're on. And they're calling it down. And then the next minute, they're already all interested in becoming politicians, basically running for controller, the small little position in the city. And yeah, it's so funny how Charlie gets so into it being Dennis's campaign manager. He's like so like on the ball with his clipboard and everything. There's a lot of random parking garage deals with trench coats, which is a lot of fun. I love how Mac tries to bribe these other guys, these other politicians, and he ends up calling them nerds. And they hate being called nerds. They called us nerds, Jerry. Anyway, so they get back at him by tricking him into thinking he's going to jail and everything with the cops. It's just so funny how they just screw with Mac, basically. But of course, the highlight of this episode is Charlie's campaign speech. Definitely a highlight of this entire season, where Dennis has to read what Charlie wrote. And it's just so damn funny. The placement of words now, how nothing makes sense. Good. And Charlie, you can tell he's holding back the laughing while he's holding the camera. It's so funny. And if you know some behind the scenes on that, it's actually, that's not what was even written on the paper. It's just Dennis coming up with something on the spot. So that makes it even better. At number 5, we got The Gang Goes Jihad. This is another episode where it shows how racist the gang is and how uneducated they are. When talking about simple things about Israel, they have no clue what they're talking about. The funny part about that is that they're clueless. They're obnoxious to the idea that they're racist. They don't personally think that they are, and they personally think they know what they're talking about, but they don't have a clue. And all the things they tried doing to the guy who tried buying their property from Israel, it's just so funny. Starts off with like teepeeing, the jihad tape. Now that is definitely another standout of the season. The terrorist video that they make with the random like mumbling with when they're covering their face. I need a weapon. We gotta make this look more like a cave, like it's priceless. One of the best scenes in the franchise. So good. And then the other guy getting back at them by fencing them in, and they're like stuck behind their bar at the fence. It's so damn funny. And it ends with the poop bag on fire, and there happened to be a gas leak, so the guy gets his place blown up, and Frank ends up buying back the bar and the property. So that's how Frank becomes the owner of the bar. At number 4, I got $100 Baby. Now, this is a lot of fun, this episode, how Dee takes up boxing for self-defense since they leave her at the very first in an alley with a mugger. And Charlie takes up Fight Club. Dennis and Matt convince him to join Fight Club. And basically the whole episode, to train Charlie, they're just beating him with shit like boards and stuff, trying to toughen him up while drinking beer. So funny. And, Dee having the trouble she's having with boxing and that, and being not really physically fit in that way, she ends up resorting to steroids. And the best part of the episode is when her and Charlie are both hyped up on steroids and they get in a counter and start to fight in the bar, just the faces they're making when they're shaking their heads and everything. It's just so damn funny. All the mood swings and everything. And of course we get our first montage, them working out to "You're the best around and no one's ever gonna bring you down," which, that song comes back so many times throughout this this show that it's so funny how it started here. And I love the way it ends. How they end up sending Mac into the Fight Club. He loses, but that was the plan the whole time because Dennis made a bunch of money off him. But they get mugged again in the end and lose it all. Because, the gang never has a happy ending. At number 3, I got Charlie Goes America all over everybody's ass. What a title. And Charlie does do that a few times in this episode. I love his freakouts and his rock flag and eagle near the end. And then later getting stabbed by the McPoyles for the things that he's done in the past with screwing them over in season 1, I believe. But yeah, great episode. We got Mac and Dennis trying to make the bar with no rules, freedom, no restrictions. But that leads to a lot of problems. Like all the Asians that Frank brings in and how they're smoking and, kind of changing the mood of the bar, wanting to change the music and everything. I love the Girls Gone Wild side to this episode, how they're trying to make their own Girls Gone Wild episode. And Dennis is saying, we got to find these girls at like the library because we don't want wild girls. We want normal girls gone wild. It's important to watch the process. So damn funny. And, eventually they got crackheads in there and heroin users and the McPoyles show up. So they learn maybe having no rules and complete freedom does hurt things a little bit. We do need rules. They're set in place for a reason. And I feel like, there's some commentary on there with, how countries run and stuff. If you take that scenario and apply it to the bar, it works the same. And you gotta love that whole ending when they go in the basement and they're playing Russian roulette. And you're like, oh shit, things are getting crazy with these Asians. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of that. At number 2, I got Dennis and Dee Get a New Dad. And I never realized how great this episode was, like, compared to the rest. I didn't think I'd be placing it second place, but it really is that good. We got Bruce Mathis coming in here, claiming he's the father of Dennis and Dee. And when Frank finds out, it's so hilarious. He's at the restaurant. At first, he's, like, accusing Dennis and Dee and banging each other. And he's like, don't bang your sister. That's perverted. It's just so funny. The dialogue is great. But when he finds out that he's not the actual father of them, he does a great freak out when he's asking everybody at the restaurant, did you bang my whore wife? Did you bang my whore wife? It's so damn funny. Oh, what else? We also get the introduction of Mac's dad, Luther, in prison. And this is the one where he's trying to get Charlie and Mac to smuggle heroin up their butts. And he just keeps getting so pissed off every time they show up. We're not even attempting to do that. They're just asking him for advice and trying to show how hard they are. It's funny. They're completely becoming gangsters with their one button on their shirt and everything. It's so damn funny. And Charlie got his tattoo of Bad New. He gives it to himself in this episode, which he keeps throughout the entire runtime of the whole series, which is crazy to keep that little detail in there, eh? And finally, when they go to beat up Bruce and take a picture, it doesn't go as planned at all. Charlie's just huffing glue and takes the picture. It's just so weird. He almost seems like he's handicapped or something. But all in all, this makes a perfect Father's Day episode because it deals with Frank, Bruce, and Luther. And yeah, it just works so well. But for me, easily coming in the first place is Dee and Dennis Go on Welfare. One of my favorite episodes of all time. This is a 10 out of 10 all day long. Like, they got the formula so good in this one. Dennis and Dee decide to quit their jobs to pursue their careers, which leads to them going on unemployment, starting to drink on the stoop, listening to music, moving on to trying to get on welfare, and eventually just leading to them getting addicted to crack. And man, when they're addicted to crack, their performances are so spot on. They look so messed up, not just the makeup effects, but their performance wise. They completely sold the fact that they were drug addicts. I also love when they're at the welfare store and they're trying to get welfare, and Dennis is like, I'm a recovering crackhead and this is my retarded sister. We'd like some welfare, please. Freaking comedy gold, especially with her bicycle helmet. It's so funny. And it's funny that they meet Mac and Charlie at this place too, where they're trying to pick up slaves for the bar to work for free. So good. Eventually Frank gets rid of the slaves because they were downers, because these were people who actually needed welfare. They didn't drink or do drugs and that. They just needed it because they were in rough shape with their family and with their their money situation, and that just wasn't good. Their housing situation, whatever it was. So they actually need it. So I like how this episode shows you the two sides: the people abusing the system, just trying to get money instead of working, and the people who actually need it, who don't get the care they deserved. That's why I appreciate this episode so much. But there's a lot of laughs along the way, especially Mac and Charlie stealing all Frank's money, since Frank put his money, his account into Charlie's account, his money or something like that, in Charlie's bank account, and they blow most of his money, or a lot of it anyway. And after hiring all these strippers and that, and going in a limo, and they have tuxedos, and it's so funny when Frank cuts them off, they got no more money, and the girls are all like, I'm gonna send my pimp after you, and they freak out and just run away. This episode is everything. Like I said, one of the best episodes so far that I've ranked. I think this is the best one leading up to this point in season 1 and 2. It's so good. Like I said, it seems like they got the formula down pat for what future seasons would have, like season 5. So Dee and Dennis going on welfare is easily my number 1 of the season. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 10 episodes of season 2 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Extremely hard to rank this season, and I can't imagine what future seasons are going to bring, because they just keep getting better, and it's going to get so much harder to rank. The only two I had an easy time ranking is The Gang Exploits a Miracle, which is my last, and my number 1, Dee and Dennis Going Welfare. The middle is super tight and super close together, that they're all kind of interchangeable for me. But I want to hear what's your favorite episode of the season, what's your least favorite. Rank every episode, all 10, if you want, in the comment section. We'll have a great discussion. I'll be back with season 3 soon, and until next time, guys, thanks for watching.